Meet Marc. A year ago, he was a broke musician trying every online side hustle in the book. A year later, he's making over $20,000 profit a month selling on Amazon while still having the freedom to pursue his music interests. And I'm sure you're wondering, how's this possible? That's exactly what Marc's going to reveal in this video. Let's get right into it. What's up, Marc? Welcome to the channel, man. Good to have you here.
Good to be here, man. Nice to see you.
Yeah, dude, 100%, man. So when did you join the coaching program? It was like fall of 2023, right?
Yeah, it was actually, I believe it was December of 2023. So
Yeah, I knew
it
it
was
was.
right there at the end of Q4 of that year.
Yeah. Sweet. Okay, cool. Sweet. So
Not
it's
like
been a
one
little.
full year I've been in the program.
Yeah, exactly. And then what'd you end up at December-wise, revenue and profit?
So December was great. December was my best month. I did 126K in sales, and it was about 20% profit.
Cool, sweet. So yeah, that's not bad, right? For having been, a pretty new seller just in your first year, right? Good things take time, you know what I mean? Like I sold on Amazon for a while, specifically with used books. And then once I started doing OA, I clicked pretty quick, kind of similar to you. As well. But just to provide some context, you want to fill everyone in on, just who you are, what you're about, your background prior to selling on Amazon?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Marc DeBlazy, and I started Amazon as a way to supplement my income. So I am a musician by trade. So I love to perform. I'm a teacher. I have a private music practice. So I teach drums. And so I was always trying to kind of find a way to supplement that income. Like I love music, but it was never really paying all my bills or anything. So I always had to find a way to make some extra money. And to do that, I always try to find the next big thing. I always did I started with drop shipping early on, opened up 2 stores that failed miserably, typical story of the drop shipper. I did that, learned a lot, but didn't stick. Then I got into like social media stuff, did some blogging, did everything under the sun, did some AI stuff. And I really tried to do everything, all those little get rich quick things that you see on the internet. And I always knew Amazon was an opportunity. And I actually had a friend, a friend of my cousin's actually, was a really big Amazon seller. He did really well for himself. So I always knew it was an opportunity out there, but I didn't really look into it. It wasn't until like my latest failed venture at that time, whatever the 6th, 7th thing I tried that didn't work out. I was walking down the street. It was very random. I was walking down the street and I actually just walked by these 2 random kids that were just talking, overheard what they were saying. They were like, "Hey, did you hear so-and-so? He's killing, he's on Amazon." And that just stuck with me after I heard that, And after that, I just went home, went on YouTube, started searching up everything, learned everything I could about Amazon. And from then it really just like, I really went deep into it. I found her channel, found Fields of Profit, and I really just started consuming all the content I could, just watching every video. And and that's how I started. So right now I still teach, and I do some crypto stuff and like trading, and like I love the tech stuff. So I still do that, but I still have a private music practice too. So I still teach part-time, around 15 students. So I'm doing that and still able to do Amazon at the same time.
Yeah, I
So
can imagine the hard thing with like coaching sports or coaching music or like maybe like the restaurant industry is that it's an art form for people, so they really like doing it. So there's a lot of competition, right? Like
yeah,
no one wakes up every day and is like, I want to go do retail arbitrage. No one would do retail arbitrage if it didn't make money. No one would do online arbitrage if it didn't make money. It's the same thing. Like no one dreams of being a plumber, but plumbers make very good money if you get good at it, right?
yeah.
So it's a relatively similar concept. I feel like that's where you kind of get like you hear people talk about like the starving artist because they're in a market that a lot of people do as a hobby, right? So it's you're not competing against business people, so people are willing to undercut, so on and so forth, right? But selling Amazon's a lot more of an efficient market, basically. And then were you a brand new seller in Q4 of 2023, or had you made any sales prior?
So I actually started September of 2023. So that was like my first start. And I did like 1,000 in sales my first month. And I was just using your content, just using your videos. after I watched everything, I bought Cellaramp, bought Keepa, and I just started practicing on my own. I started looking for leads and everything. It took a little bit to get into it. The struggle of sourcing at first is it's a little challenging until you really get into it. But yeah, I did 1,000 in sales in my first month without any coaching or anything, just using the videos, doing it on my own. And then November, I did 5,000. And then from that moment, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. I made the money super fast. This was very easy for me. I really enjoyed doing it. I had a great time finding the leads. And I was like, I can definitely keep scaling this. And it was probably at the end of that month that I decided I really wanted more knowledge. I wanted to streamline the process. And that's when I actually got in contact with you and signed up with the coaching program.
Boom, there we go, right? Sure, yeah, exactly. And then it's been, pretty explosive growth since then, as you've, major credit to you for putting a ton of work on that. So I assume it feels pretty good, right? Because previously, you know what I mean, competing like to get music suits, I assume is a little bit harder, right? But now that you have great supplemental income on Amazon, you built, done a ton of good work to get. Now I assume it feels really good because you don't have to take bad clients if you don't want to. You have some more free time. You probably feel a little bit more flexible. Like, how does it feel to have this stuff, significantly better figured out a year later?
It feels great. It really does. I feel a lot more free, and I'm just happy that I could still do my passions, still pursue what I love, still be active in the music space, create, be part of it. And really, I love teaching. I love helping people. I love just being that coach for people like you are. And it's just nice to be able to have that balance, to still have my passion, but still be able to have a new passion, like it's not just a job for me. Like I really love doing Amazon. Like it's turned into another passion of mine. And to have those two things merge and to be like synergistic and to work so perfectly, I'm very grateful and I'm super happy. And to still have the time to be able to do that, I don't spend a crazy amount of time doing the music anymore, but I can, I have that opportunity if I want to keep doing it. It's still there.
And that's what it's all about, right? Life is about building good, or in my opinion, right? Life's about building good skills so you can buy back more of your life, right? Because the more money you acquire, right, you can pay for other people to do things you don't want to do. You can get nicer stuff, right? But the big thing is just freeing back your time, right? So you have, more available to do, whatever the heck you want as well. So on the scaling up side of things, so I think there's like kind of two hard parts to the equation, right? Getting your first couple sales and then getting momentum to where you can really do some numbers and really scale your business, right? So talk about that initial process. Like when was like the aha moment when you're like, holy crap, like this really works?
So it's funny. I remember my the first item I bought. It was actually Nike kid shorts from Nike.com. And I remember I found it on, I think I was reverse sourcing. So I was just trying all different things out. I was trying to keep a product finder, trying reverse sourcing. And it really didn't take much time at all to find that first lead. Took like maybe two days of really sourcing. And it wasn't like spending like 6 hours a day, really. It took about maybe 5 hours of work to really find that first lead, which is, it's a lot when you think about one lead in the beginning. But it didn't take too long. And I made that first purchase, got to my house, did the ungate, and I was able to sell them within that same week. So once I saw that proof of concept and I was able to get those first sales that quickly, I was like, wow, this is something that I could continue doing. I could keep doing that same process. And so after that first lead, I kind of got addicted. So it was a lot of fun. It was kind of like treasure hunting for me. I was like, oh man, I'm looking for the next thing.
Quick interruption from the interview with Marc. If you guys are interested in personalized one-on-one help scaling up your Amazon business, now's a great time to apply for my coaching program. I'll leave a link down below in the description. You can go ahead and put in your information and apply. If you're looking for unparalleled one-on-one help directly from me, you want to get on Zoom one-on-one to live source together, you want to get all my coupons, tips, tricks, and strategies, and 3 group coaching calls per week, one-on-one access to me via my personal phone number. Check that out at the link in the description. Back to the interview with Marc.
And so those first sales turned into some more sales, and then it just really kept snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. and it became easier over time. Yeah, the first month was definitely the trickiest part, and I didn't have a lot of capital at first. It's actually a funny thing. I think I should probably bring this up. So my original capital. So after all my failed ventures, I didn't have a lot of money to start with. So I I actually had this jar of change that I've been collecting for over a decade. You know, like those 20-gallon, 30-gallon water jugs that you see in like the
My
doctor's office.
grandparents used to love that. Yeah, yeah.
I saved probably 10 years worth of change, and I ended up with like $1,500, and I used that as my initial investment. I went to the bank, cashed in all that change, and that was my initial investment for all the products and for my LLC and everything. So I stuck with that, bought some Nike shorts, just started really snowballing everything, putting the money back in, and those first sales really pretty easy, honestly.
Boom, there we go, right? And then it's the kind of thing I like what you said about it being fun, right? And that like if you can set this up to where it's fun, you'll do it a lot. And when you do it a lot, you get better, right? So one of the main components I see to, really figuring this stuff out, right, is effectively sourcing products, right? And I'm sure you've gotten significantly better. And I even know you've gotten significantly better at product research over the last year. So talk about what was kind of the difference and the unlock between I need to put a ton of time into sourcing versus now I'm building some momentum and I can find and locate these profitable products a lot easier. Like talk about some of the keys and some of the sauce you used for that.
Yeah, so the first thing was definitely learning about the different sourcing methods and getting better at each one of them. I started with reverse sourcing, storefront stalking. After I found that first lead, I went through the stores of those people, and those initial storefronts led me to some of my first products. And that was like the initial way I would source at first. Very simple, you just go through that storefront and you just Google the item, and if you can find it, you can find it. And so that was definitely my bread and butter at first for those first products. And then it was when I got into Keepa Product Finder that I really started to unlock a lot more potential in finding products. So learning all the filters, learning to adjust those numbers, finding different categories or different velocities of products, out of stock products, and just finding all those different ways that you can filter out products and find more stuff. So mastering Keepa Product Finder has been amazing for me. Like that's my bread and butter now is Keepa Product Finder. So unlocking that had so much potential, and honestly, it's like so many different filters. It's infinite possibilities when it comes to. So I'm still learning all different filters and combinations, but that was huge for me. And then after that was manual sourcing. After I got better, I started to understand products. I started to see the same products over and over again. I started to see the same prices, like the average prices for some of these products. So I started kind of memorizing the catalog of like Nike or Adidas, and I got familiar with a lot of products. I got familiar with a lot of websites. So I got there was like a handful of websites that I really started with at first, and I mastered those. I learned the sales. I learned what good prices were, and it really was just studying all the catalogs, just doing the repetitions, practicing over and over again to know what you're looking for. And then now I'm at this point where it's like I can go on a site, see a sale. I can just look at the page, see a product, be like, oh, I know that's a good seller. I know what price I can get that for. I know what a good price for that is. And I can automatically just, boom, buy it. So it was a lot of just practicing and learning and memorizing catalogs and websites and sales. And so the more you do it, the more opportunities you find, and it just gets easier and easier to find products.
Yeah, and finding products is one thing, right? So locating winners, which for most beginners is going to be, Keepa Product Finder and storefront stocking especially, right? And then it comes down to being able to make those items profitable, right? So can you talk through what that looks like from your perspective? Because like I talk about it all the time, but I want to see, from a third person's perspective, like what actually goes into that from your perspective. So talk about the idea of making items profitable, because you don't just find items, right? You find something that sells quick, but then you got to find that stuff that sells quick at a profitable price from the website.
Yeah, this is very true. And so at first, I didn't really do much, and that's why it was very hard to find things profitably. I just kind of looked at the store, looked at the price, see if I could find it profitably. And if I couldn't, I just passed over it. I didn't really know much about the different techniques at that point, but now it's way different. So now if I see a product and it's not quite profitable, I don't just give up. I use all my methods. So the first one is coupons, obviously. So using all my extensions, Capital One Shopping, Top Cash Back, Be Frugal, to see if there's a coupon active at that point of time. And that's just a pretty common, easy way to see if there's some additional discounts. The second biggest one right now is discounted gift cards. So discounted gift cards have been huge for me over the last few months, and I was not utilizing them enough in the beginning. And it's just as easy as going on GCX or Top Cash or Card Cash and going on to see which websites have discounted gift cards. So like Nike.com, I know I can get a 10% discounted gift card. And so I'll do that. I'll buy a 10% discounted gift card, use that, stack it with my coupon, put on my my cashback extensions. And and that's pretty much it. My biggest thing is couponing stacked with the discounted gift cards. And then the cashback is just a little extra on top,
Yep. And then some websites, right, depending on kind of how you guys source that are watching this, right, some websites might even take your tax exempt permit. If you're doing a lot of retail arbitrage, a lot of stores will take your tax exempt permit. So you live in New York, Marc, right? So a lot of products, New York's kind of unique in that like sales tax changes between categories and even different parts of the states, right? Yes. A lot of New York is 8% sales tax, right? So if you're buying something RA and you guys get what's called a sales tax permit or a reseller certificate, right? Depending on state, they all have different names. You can avoid that sales tax too. A lot of websites will have loyalty rewards programs similar to Kohl's Cash, similar to Rack Room Shoes rewards.
Right, yeah.
Right. And I think Belk has one too, right? And those will give you additional discounts too, which is really helpful as well. And that's how you're going to make stuff good. And that if you expect to just come across stuff profitable on different retailers, it'll happen sometimes, but you'll have a much harder time because you're competing against people that are taking advantage of every discount that's available. Mm-hmm. That sounds a little complicated the first time you do it. Go watch some of my sourcing videos and you'll see pretty quickly. It actually is fairly simple. As well. So another component of a successful Amazon business is who you work with, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean in a formal sense. In fact, in many cases, it means in an informal sense, who your friends are that sell on Amazon. So I know we've collaborated, a ton over the past year. Do you have other sellers you're talking with on a day-to-day basis too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The second I joined your program, you always made it a point to say, make some friends, make some connections, network. Your network is your net worth, And so the second I joined the program, I made it I made it very important to reach out to sellers. I would DM people. I would just start conversations, because I didn't want to be alone in the space. Like I always wanted to have people I could talk to about these things. It's like, as an Amazon seller, you feel kind of alone sometimes if you don't have a community around you. You kind of just feel like you're doing it on your own. It's a little boring sometimes. So I made it very a big point of mine to reach out to as many people as possible and just talk, not really have to force a relationship, but just to communicate with these people, see what they're doing. And then that just led to some very natural relationships. And so at first it was a little difficult and, you get a little intimidated reaching out to people, but it's so silly to think that way. It's because these are just normal people. They're all trying to do the same thing as you. They're trying to make friends. So it's silly to be intimidated. But I did go through a decent amount of relationships. So I started my own Discord right off the bat because I didn't want to have to wait or have people have to send me invites to join a group. Everyone's looking for that mysterious secret group to get the leads or whatever. And I was like, I'll just start my own group. I'll invite some people. So that's what I did. I started Discord and I just invited the people that I was talking to. I'd be like, hey, I got a group. You should join up. And we would just talk. Some people stuck. Some people didn't. Probably went through over a dozen people coming and going. Some people didn't participate. Some people wouldn't talk. Some people didn't click. So from the 12, 15 people that I really connected with and had in the Discord, it's now down to like a group of a solid 5. And so now the group that I'm with now, we're all really connected. We're all doing big numbers. We all like have shared interests. We talk to each other every day. We text every day. We source all the time. We're always sharing leads, and it just makes it so much more fun. To have if you have a question, you could just go to your friend. You guys can just talk. If you want to source together and just hang out, you can. It makes it a lot more fun, easier, and not as lonely.
Yeah, well, online business in general is super lonely, right? Because for most people, it involves sitting at a computer, right? But for the way you've transcended, the way I've transcended, right, it now looks like the group chat buzzing throughout the day over different stuff going on, or the Discord buzzing throughout the day. And not only does that make it easier, but it's also more fun. You also avoid more, mistakes too, which is super positive thing, and it costs no money too as well. So that's one of the biggest things, right? And if people want to network with you and ask you questions and follow your journey, where can people find you on social media as well? Because I see your posts all the time, and you're doing a good job with that too.
Yeah, so right now I'm mainly on Twitter. You can see it on my name. It's MarcFBA on X, and I actually started posting my journey immediately. So my first sale is my first post on Twitter, and I made sure to do that. Because I was like, it's a documentation for myself too, not just for the public, but just to have like a scrapbook of my journey and to know where I came from and to be able to go back to that and to really give myself inspiration to see how far I've come. And the other benefit is other people get to see it and ask you questions and connect with you about it. And it's just great, man. You get to meet new people on Twitter too, have new conversations. So it's really cool place.
Yeah, and it all costs no money. That's one of the biggest things you do when you're a beginner seller is get around as many people as possible that speak this language, even from the get-go with your first sales. That's what I did. That's what Marc did. Look at where we got, now, and I'm excited to see, what you got going on a year from now too, man. And everything. Super proud of your progress, and I'm just, proud of you, what you got going on, man. Okay.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate all the help too. It's like you've been such a help with everything. It's been amazing.
Cool. Hey, well, thanks a lot, man. And all you guys watching, go follow Marc on Twitter so you can see more of his journey. And if you guys want formal help, check out the link in the description. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much, Marc.